coop building today. Got some lumber from the hardware store yesterday. And some hardware cloth. All sorts of good stuff. And we're gonna start assembling the coop. Getting it ready for the chicks to come out of the brooder. And we're gonna make a little bit of a modification to the Justin Rhodes ChickShaw. He has a ChickShaw, it's a 6x6, and it has a handle on it with some nice big 26-inch wheels, so you can move it all over the place. And we're gonna do something similar, but because of some of the narrow spaces I have, a 6-foot wide coop would be really challenged to get through. You see over here behind me, for example, between the wood pile and the house, I could probably get it through there, but it's gonna be super tight. Over here also, in front of the house, between the house itself and the bushes over here, the line of bushes, super tight as well. So we're gonna actually do it 4 foot by 8 foot, with the handle being on the 4-foot side, so that when it runs, it's only 4 feet wide. We're gonna do a little modification there, but pretty similar. He said the 6x6 was up to, I think, 30 something birds, and we've got 27, so we should have plenty of space. And we'll get some electric poultry netting to put around them, and we'll be able to move them around the property. It'll probably be a multiple day project, but then we get started today, at least build out the frame, start getting that assembled. I need to put together a work area. Whenever I do projects, I have to kind of build that up from scratch. I don't really have great inside space to work on these things. Wish my shed had space for it, but it's just so much storage in there right now, and with the brooder in there, there's no space. So we're gonna get this set up out here so I can do some work. Work area accomplished. Pretty simple. We've got our table over here with the chop saw, some various tools, all the lumber right there. Everything's kind of where I need it. Got my plans outlined here. Well, those are gonna show up, but you can see there is the 4x4, and we got the spots for the wheels, side view, end view, and then we're gonna get some roofing to put over the top of that. So the first is I'm gonna build out the frame, which is gonna be 2x4s. Get that going, and then I'm gonna flip it over and put the hardware cloth on. And then turn it back over again and attach the 2x2s, which are going to be the perches for the birds, and they'll be right on the bottom. And then the hardware cloth is going to act as the base for it, so the droppings from the birds will just go right through to the ground, and there's not going to be any cleaning involved, which should be really nice. So looking at this, I'm going to kind of just lay it out roughly here. 4 foot by 8 foot on the ground, and I'm thinking it's a little bit narrow. I'm worried it might be a little bit top heavy, but I guess the wheels are gonna be, it's only gonna be 23 inches off the ground. So it shouldn't be too high up. 23 inches isn't a lot. And it'll have posts on either side to help stabilize it. I just worried about getting top heavy. And it's only gonna be, there's that 23 inch mark, which is where the base of the ChickShaw is going to be from the ground, and then from there up it's only going to be another 2 feet, so it's not going to be super tall. I'm not worried about it. I think it'll be okay. Is that a good size?
Is it big enough?
Okay. It'll be nice and cozy. If you don't have one of these, you should probably check them out. They are super handy. It is a bracelet. It's just magnetic, and it just holds your bit steady. So if I'm, switching between drill bit and screw bit, I can just flop them on there super quick. Keep it on my right hand, because in my right hand I've got the drill, so I don't want to have to reach over here and grab stuff and then put it in my left hand and put it in there. So I just keep it on my right hand, my right wrist, and it works perfect. It's really nice. Yeah, please. Change the subject, we're talking about compost right now. We've got a whole bunch of tomatoes and some scraps from the garden, and the chickens are obviously not ready to eat it yet because they're just little baby chicks. We've got a pile going over here that is very sad. Not really a pile, is it just a bunch of crap on the ground? So we're trying to decide what to do about it. I think we need to add, we had a bunch of that horse manure, add a bunch of mulch, water it down real good, add the tomatoes, and then we could probably let it sit for a while. And add some comfrey. Comfrey is a good compost inoculator. It'll actually get the compost kick-started.
The only thing I'm worried about is putting blighted tomato plants in a compost pile. It's not always a great idea because the blight can stay in the soil.
Let's
And
just
if
get them
you
off the
use
property
it-
then.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Scratch that, they're going away. So we got the frame put together here. And basically just a 4x8 frame, a little shy of 8 feet because this is just stud lumber, which usually comes in around 92 inches. But it should be fine. The reason that these center boards are here is actually to have a brace for where we're going to be attaching the axles for the wheels. Axles for the wheels will come across and they'll sit on top of this board or underneath and sit on top of that board, and that gives them a little bit of a brace to have some extra added support. Now I'm gonna square it off. A great way to square is to take a diagonal measurement. You take 2 diagonal measurements going from one corner to the other corner, and then from that corner to this corner. If those measurements are the same, you know you've got a perfect square or a perfect rectangle. And then I'm going to use some corner braces, some 45-degree corner braces, in order to support it and ensure that it is going to stay square. After that, I'll flip it upside down and get ready to start attaching the hardware cloth. So I went ahead and measured it, and we had 106 inches running this way and 106 inches running this way, and the 2 cross, so it's perfect. Not a big deal. And then I'm going to go ahead and secure these guys. I've got a 45-degree angle on each side. It's just 16 inches across the top, and it's just going to make sure it stays square. Go ahead and put those in there with a couple of screws to keep them in place. And then I've got to add a few more screws because each of these only has 1 currently in each of these joints, so that I had some wiggle room and some ability to adjust. So now I'll go ahead and screw these guys into place. Make sure I've got the right size screw actually. I do. That'll work. Should work. I do that way. Yeah. So I'm gonna get just the rest of all these all locked up. And hopefully I can actually do that without having to do a pilot hole on every single one. The trick is I'm not actually going to be obviously screwing in straight this way. I'm going to be screwing in at a 45-degree angle, but I'm going to get the pilot hole started on the flat, and then I can angle the bit once I get it in there, make it a lot easier on myself. I love my dogs. They're so much fun. And Obi's the first dog I've had that's actually obsessed with the ball, which is great for some things. He gets some good exercise. It's easy to get him out there, get him running. He'll be distracted, so he'll chase after the ball when there's baby chicks around, and we'll go after the baby chicks. And we can keep him away from neighbors and other people. But sometimes I find myself throwing the ball intentionally hard to find places, just to get him to stop bringing it back quite so often. And then All right, so I've got the frame all put together. You see the corners are supported. It's got the 4 pieces. Then I've got this 1 inch by 1 inch hardware cloth. The nice thing about this is it's going to allow any droppings from the animals or from the birds to just go straight through into the ground. So I have to clean a lot less often. That's going to go right on here. And on top of that, I'm going to put all of the pieces of 2x2, which is going to be their roosts and what they're actually going to perch upon. Should be pretty easy. This is 15 feet of hardware cloth, so I'm going to have a 1 foot area at one of the ends that's going to get the 1/4 inch hardware cloth, because it just came in that length. It seems silly to buy a much bigger piece or buy 2 of these rolls just to cover a 1 foot space. So I'll just put that area close to the door, where hopefully they don't perch as often. There won't be as much droppings. It'll be easier to clean because it's close to the door. That's the plan. Stuff's pretty easy to cut usually if you've got some tin snips. I've seen a lot of people also using angle grinders to zip through it really fast. I haven't found that to be necessary. Just the work of getting out the angle grinder seems like a lot more of a pain than just using tin snips. Hardware cloth is in place. We got the 1 inch. And you can see we patched over here. We were just a little bit off and didn't have enough to finish it off with the 1 inch. So we're using a little bit of 1/4 inch there. Just finishing that up and we'll get that in place. So we're gonna make sure that that's close to the door so it's easy to clean. And hopefully that won't make too much of a work for us. It's all in across. We stapled it in place all the way around. See there's little staples on it. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay down our 2x2 perches across here. We're gonna go do 5 of those perches. Once we have them in place and drilled into place, we're gonna flip the whole thing over and we're gonna attach the hardware cloth to the 2x2s from below. So we'll attach from below onto the 2x2s. So the hardware cloth is sandwiched between the frame and the 2x2 perches, and it should be real stable that way. So this is the section where we put in the 1/4 inch because the 1 inch was not big enough, and we're just going to use this piece of wire that came with it and go ahead and weave it so that we don't have, it's hard to see in the video because it's just 2-dimensional. This is a very 3-dimensional thing, but there's a lot of gaps right here. So we're going to use this and weave it. So the top is all done. We've got all of these are attached. All of the hardware cloth is in place and secured. I go ahead and went ahead and wove in with a piece of wire that 1/4 inch patch that we have over there, so it's nice and secure. Now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to attach the hardware cloth to the roosts from below. Because the birds will be walking on this hardware cloth, we want to make sure it's nice and secure so it's not bowing, especially in the center where you could have the potential for 2 pieces to come apart. So I'm putting in these tacks with the hammer tacker, just staples, and I come back through, I'm going to put some fencing staples in by hand with the hammer also. come be a helper, hand this to me?
Yeah.
Lifting it up. Slide, slippity slide.
There we go.
Okay, next we're going to do the legs. We're going to do the legs are only going to be in the front. So we'll cut this section out right here and we'll put the leg through. The wheels are going to be they're 26 inches total. So right off the center is going to be 23 inches from here down. So it'll be 23 inches off the ground. So I need this leg to be 23 inches also. 13 inches. So I'm going to have the leg come up through here. And then the leg that's going to be down below is also going to be the frame for the top piece up here. I'm using pressure treated for this part because it is going to be in contact with the ground. And what I could have done is attach the leg support right here and then put the hardware cloth around it. But if I cut out the hardware cloth and put it through, then I can wrap the piece that's left over onto the side of the leg in order to make sure I've got protection from rodents. So that's what I'm going to do. And it's also only a couple of snips to get that piece through. So let me get that measured and then put it into place. I got a bit further along here, so we've got the base on and all the roosts in place, and we put these uprights in. The front upright that you can see here is also going to act as a footing. This piece right here will rest on the ground. And one of the tricks with that is you want this bottom piece to be the uncut side. So this piece has not been cut. This 2x4 that I cut at the top, and I put the treated side on the bottom. And it might be hard to see that, but there you go. You can see that is the treated side, and the treatment will help prevent it from rotting when it's in contact with the ground for extended periods of time. If you have the cut side down, then it's going to increase rotting. So we've got the cut side at the top. And then I'm starting to frame it out. It's going to be about 2 feet tall, 4 feet wide, 8 feet long. Pretty simple. Right now I'm going to go through and I'm going to put side braces on. We're going to decide where we're going to put the door. We need to decide where we're going to put the nesting boxes so that we can get those pieces framed out as well. And it's coming along. I'm running out of parts, so pretty soon here I'm gonna have to go to make a run to the store. Probably not gonna be able to finish it today, but I'll get enough parts so that next time I have some time to work on it, everything's lined out and it'll go together a lot faster that way. All right, update of where we're at. We have a pretty well framed in. The bottom is on, the sides are up. This area you see right here is actually gonna be the door. It's gonna swing down. Over here is where the nest boxes are going to be. Those are just going to be some milk crates. We'll sit on that little ledge right there. And the bottom open so that anything that is deposited in the milk crate other than an egg can just fall through. You can kind of see how that's going to work. The milk crates will sit on that. They're currently fenced in. We're going to cut that section out so that we can easily get the milk crates out. We'll actually use this section that we cut out to create a door probably for the outside. Hopefully we can use that. It's big enough. Yeah, I think that's all we're gonna get to today. So we'll probably end up doing here is just waiting. I'm gonna have to get a few more pieces for the top and get the roofing, and then most of the side will actually be covered with the same roofing panels that we're gonna use on top in order to get some wind block. We'll have the front completely open just with netting on it with the hardware cloth, and then the rest will be open air. Give them lots of airflow in there.